Testing. All right. Good evening, everybody. Ashley Toussaint, Vice Chair of the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust. We're getting ready to call our meeting to order on Tuesday, October the 15th, and the time is 6:07 p.m.
Okay. Any person who acts as a lobbyist pursuant to City of Miami Ordinance number 11469, codified in Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code, must register with the city clerk prior to engaging in lobbying activities before city staff, boards, committees, and the city commission. A copy of said ordinance is available in the office of the city clerk, City Hall. The material for each item on the agenda is available online on the city's website. Any person may be heard by the board through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the board unless modified by the chair. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such a later date before the board takes action on such proposition. The chair will advise the public when the public may have an opportunity to address the board during the public comment period or at any other designated time.
Thank you. Roll call.
Leslyn Ingladorjans, absent. Ashley Toussaint,
Present.
Alyssa Zapata,
Here.
Robert Holland, absent. Rudy Meme.
Present.
We have quorum to proceed.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up our public comment section. Just the guidelines for a public comment is please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less, so that we can move the meeting and items along. So, once you come up, please state your name and your address. So we are now open for public comment.
Good afternoon. Testing. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maisha Bryant. I live at 12026 Northeast 16th Avenue, Miami, Florida. Miami has one of the largest construction markets in this country. And if that is the case, then why are tens of thousands of construction workers in Miami facing a labor crisis across our country, including wage theft, lack of protections from extreme heat, and dangerous work conditions? Every 4 days, a construction worker dies in Florida, and Miami-Dade contributes to 15% of these worker fatalities. At the same time, as this labor crisis has escalated, working people are experiencing a housing crisis. Rents have increased by 55% since 2020, contributing to widespread housing insecurity and displacement. I bring you greetings on behalf of Build a Better Miami Coalition. Thank you for allowing me to address this critical issue impacting communities across our nation, which are the practices of our housing developers and their profound effects on our workers and our residents. My name is Maisha Bryant, and I'm a co-lead organizer for Black Men Build Miami, which is just one chapter of a national organization that seeks to build power by transforming, educating, and organizing our members and their families. We are part of a coalition of over a dozen community organizations and labor unions in South Florida, and we're uniting because the Swerdlow Group is advancing plans for a massive project for Little River. This $3 billion development will include 7,500 new apartments, and it is projected to be the largest redevelopment project in Miami history. We are fighting to win a community benefits agreement to ensure that this redevelopment project sets a new standard and protects our workers and residents. We want guaranteed protections for construction workers, including protections from extreme heat to keep them safe. We want living wages and local hires for permanent workers. We want truly affordable housing for our communities and not just apartments for those who make $100,000 or more a year. We want free urgent care services and a cooling station for the workers in the community. And we want emergency funds for small businesses owned by local residents to make sure they're not displaced. Please join us as we try to path forward to win protections tomorrow on October 16th at the Government Center at 5:30 for our press conference and our report launch. That is 111 Northwest 1st Street. You can see me for more information. Thank you so much.
Hold on a second, Ms. Brown. We have a question from the board.
Yes.
Hi,
Good evening. Hi. I have a question for you. Is there a draft of this services agreement, community benefit services agreement?
Yes, there is a draft, and I can get it to you today, actually.
Okay, I'll speak to you after. If you
Thank
can
you
stick
so
around.
much.
Thank you.
And I can also give it to anyone who else wants the link to see our community benefits agreement. It is already drafted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come up at this time? State your name, address.
Vice Chair, Brady Muhammad. How everyone's doing? Thank God we're all safe from
Can you speak into the
all
mic
these-
a little bit more?
all these hurricanes that we hit. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, Grady Muhammad, President, CEO, staff, community members. I think it's a combination of two things, especially what she's talking about. They keep saying Little River, but that's Victory Homes. That's Little Haiti. That's 520 Northwest 75th Street. That's Little Haiti. Same thing with the other project that I think I sent you all to the board members. It's Little Haiti. We got to be able to do literally a campaign to determine, because Little River was always Miami Avenue eastward. These projects are west of Northeast 2nd Avenue and 75th Street, 5th Avenue. They're Little Haiti. So we got to make sure we have a campaign to let the developers know this is what we expect. Since there are already public housing units with Victory Homes, and they're going from 72nd Street to 75th Street, from Northwest 2nd Avenue all the way to 7th Avenue, which is potentially Michael Swaterlow development, and they're talking about bringing a Home Depot and all these other 7,500 units, as well as a Tri-Rail station. We have to ensure the Little Haiti Trust is literally got to get some of these funds, along with what Board Member Zapata is always saying about the road impact fees, the building fees, all these other fees that is going to be coming from these projects. These will bring additional funds and revenues to the Little Haiti Trust that we can be able to use. I ain't gonna say a perpetuity, but we can be able to leverage these funds. With all of these major developments that are coming into our community, we have to ensure they have a community benefit agreement. Likewise, with whether it's Disabled Palm or the Design Place or Eastside Ridge, we got to make sure that project likewise bring dollars, because we can't just have the Magic City dollars as the only funds that's coming in. We got to ensure we have a comprehensive amount of funds so we can be able to ensure proper development, proper home ownership, proper apartment complex, or affordable, attainable housing for our residents. And on the agenda item, I see we're doing home ownership, rehabilitation, along with Mr. Gene, National Group Realty. As a business consultant for the Liberty City Trust, we've already given National Group Realty, he has 3 businesses, House of Food Porn, Merrill's Braid, and his business as well. We've given them through the little Liberty City Trust $150,000. We're asking the board to consider approving on item 3C the additional funds that for $40,000 to National Group Realty. That will help put the drainage in. The funds we're giving them are for windows, doors, awning, signage, painting, for facade, exterior. But these funds would go towards literally putting the drainage, which he does not have, in the back of the parking lot. So as President CEO Elaine Black is not here, so she asked me to come and speak on her behalf, and I'm asking the board to approve the item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Sean Wilt, Magic City Innovation District. Just wanted to announce, thank you, good evening, board and community. Just wanted to announce that we are modifying our TUP to reactivate a portion of it that's behind the large Magic sign, the parking lot of the old Wendy's. We're actually going to activate a food truck park there, have up to 9 food trucks that are there on a daily and regular basis. We're going to program farmers markets, flea markets, different activities on weekends, and try and have this a routine thing. So we'll be continuing to work with the community, through the trust, through anyone that's interested. There's a stack of these cards over on the table. There's a link you know, with website and marketing materials, so you can see the layout, see how it's gonna be set up. There'll be, you know, basically short-term, as in monthly leases we'll do with food truck operators, and, you know, we'll do some longer-term leases as well. But wanted everyone to know that, you know, this great opportunity, you know, we basically want to come here first. We want to get it out to the local community first, before we start, you know, mass marketing this, and bringing in some other operators. Obviously, being Miami, we want to, you know, diverse food offering, right? We can have up to 9 trucks, but we definitely want to get some quality providers from the local community. So please take it, spread the word. You know, take them, pass them out. Again, there's a link here that you'll be able to share that website as well. So thank you, and look forward to this, you know, trying to activate this by the end of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. Sean, really quickly, what's the timeline on that to submit your bids, and then how soon do you all plan to launch?
Yeah, so we're, the TUP, the modification to our existing TUP is under review at the city right now. We're trying to push that through and get that approved in the next, you know, call it month, 8 weeks. We're trying to actively negotiate and bring in vendors and get everyone signed up, so as we make some of the minor improvements that are required to the site, that we can, you know, we're hoping by December is our launch goal. But until the modification is approved and we have some operators, you know, ready to sign up, you know, some leasing information and everything is all available, you know, on the site. But we're hoping by the end of the year.
Awesome. And one last question: is the site on all 3 languages, English, Creole, and Spanish?
It is currently just in English.
All right, so maybe we can talk about how that information can also be disseminated in Creole, especially in Little Haiti. So if you're not working with anybody, you know, I definitely would encourage that you do, and maybe we can talk afterwards. Thank you.
Can I ask questions?
That's like, so this is our public comment section. I mean, we have 2 minutes per person, so maybe if you want to speak to him afterwards, you could, but this is just for public comment. All right, it doesn't look like there's anyone else that's coming up. Getting ready to close the public comment section in 2, 1, and 0. Okay, our public comment section is closed. Thank you.
Vice Chair, prior to the presentations, I'd like to add an absence waiver for Chair Leslie England Dorlins to the legislative item on the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, waiver,
Need a
so,
vote?
yeah, so do I make a motion for the waiver, or,
You can,
okay,
I'll motion it.
all right.
I'll second.
Okay, so, can you say the motion?
Sure. I make a motion to approve the absence waiver for Ms. Lesline and Gladys Dorlins.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Any, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, so move.
So the first item under presentations is, we have a small business grant presentation to Print Giants. We have the business owner here, Olivier.
Good evening. There you go.
Take it.
else? Was there anyone else?
We do have an award for boarding sign physical therapy, but
Okay.
the business owner is not here.
Okay.
So if she comes in later, we'll return to the item. The next item listed is, City of Miami Police Department, our quarterly update. They are not in attendance as of yet. They're here. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on down, it's your turn.
Yeah, just come over to the mic, introduce yourself, and
The mic?
yeah, for recording purposes, it needs to be on the mic, so the sound comes over the recording.
Hello. My name is Officer Mesidou. I'm City of Miami Police Department. I'm one of the beat officers for the area. I also have my partner here, Officer Laguerre. She was also the beat officer. One thing that we noticed that we have in a current trend right now is a lot of vandalism to properties and vehicles. So we kindly ask y'all, please, if you're able to, properly secure your property and your vehicles not to be visible, as well as to make sure that it is locked as well. And we also have an uptick in porch pirating. So that's one thing that we're focusing heavy on. So we advise, if you do receive your notification that your package is delivered, we kindly ask to either you yourself to quickly get it and bring it in the house, or maybe have a neighbor to pick it up for you, as we are having an increase in porch pirating. We're doing our best to be able to capture the criminals that are doing it, but we just need your help to basically try to minimize the uptick in these crimes, okay? Also, at nighttime, if you're able to, please turn on your lights, especially your back lights or your front lights, to make it visible, so that basically, if a criminal do pass by your yard, or you do have a doorbell camera or some type of camera, that it can get a clear visual of that person, that will definitely help us and be able to capture that person, as well as for your neighbors as well, if they're doing a crime towards your neighbor. So we just please ask y'all to help us so that we can help y'all to make sure that everything to be safe and smooth, okay? Thank you.
Hold on a second, we're just, questions? Some folks want to ask questions, so I was gonna say to remain up here. This gentleman here has a question.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask him was that, the people that's doing the porch pirating, are they following those, Amazon trucks around? Or are they just driving around in the neighborhood and just see items that's on the porch and come and take them?
Well, based on what we saw so far, is that basically the packages are left on the porch for a long period of time. So they basically not really based on what we're currently seeing. Maybe in another area, maybe that they're following the Amazon truck, but in our instance here in the Haiti, we're seeing that basically the packages are left on the porch for a long period of time, and the individuals, the offenders, are basically either riding a bike or walking by and seeing the packages there, and they'll walk by and see it, and they'll walk away and maybe come back maybe 30 minutes to an hour or so or anything as well, and then see it's still there, and they decide to go ahead and take the property. So that's why we ask you all, if you guys get opportunity, because we know that Amazon do send a notification that the package is delivered. If you're home, please just pick it up, place it in the house, or have someone in your home to take it in. Or if not, have your neighbor to pick it up for you, so that basically to avoid you losing your packages.
Do you find that most of these are people that's caught on camera, or most people do not have cameras at their house?
Both. So that's why we asking that basically, maybe your neighbor don't have a camera, but you may have a camera. And maybe your camera will be able to help your neighbor out to capture whoever take that package, or offender that's walking to their yard taking their property or things like that. That's why we ask, especially at nighttime, to make sure that you have your lights on to illuminate the area, as well as Because again, cameras, a lot of times, if you have a great camera, especially with the light on, it will capture everything in color and be perfect for us to be able to do our job to be able to identify these offenders. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to the next item D.
We also had an update from the Parks Department. They weren't able to attend today, but they did provide us in writing with an update to all of the improvements that are being done, both at the Cultural Center and the Marketplace. So each of the members did receive a copy of the update that they provided. In addition, that the Marketplace had reopened on Saturday, October 5th, and is continuing with programming. They're working currently on the space in between the two buildings. They currently at 45% completion on that project, and that should continue. And they're continuing to work on the roof replacement for the Marketplace, which is scheduled to be completed in 2025. Those are all the updates from the Parks Department.
Okay. Well, this is also gonna be published in our, minutes for next month, so the community can have access to this report?
We can add the item under presentations under the agenda that's currently posted, so we don't have to wait until the minutes.
Okay.
It'll be added, under the presentation.
Awesome, thank you. Moving next to, item D, the Citadel Village Affordable Housing Development presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jean Belazaire, and I am a member of the Board of Directors for Little Haiti Housing Association, also known as HACDC. I am also the treasurer of the board, and I'm here today to talk about the Citadel Village project. I'm also here with members of our staff and our management team who have been serving this market for over 30 years. A couple of points.
No, sorry. Let me, not you.
No.
I apologize for
It's okay.
interrupting
Alyssa?
Yeah.
Alyssa, did you have it?
you. No, it's the lights.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
No worries. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So, a brief presentation about Little Haiti Housing, also known as HACDC. Our goal in this community, our mission statement is to provide decent, affordable housing in this community. That's been our goal for the last 30 years, and this is what we want to continue doing with our Citadel Village project. I want to bring out a couple of points in our history, some numbers that are critical that will explain to you the work that we've been doing in the community. So since 1987, we've been incorporated in this community by, at first, really helping Haitian Americans and Haitians who came to this community to find housing. Now, obviously, in the 35 years that's gone by, this community has changed. It's not just Haitian Americans, but African Americans, Caribbean, Hispanics. So we do a lot of services that cater to these folks. Primarily, our focus is to provide homeowner education, and we provide these homeowner educations in both English, Creole, and now Spanish. In the last 30 years, and these are some of the data that you need to really bring to point, we've assisted over 300 clients acquire homes in and out of Little Haiti. $38 million in affordable housing financing, $21 million in subsidized financing. And out of all these statistics, something to really, really bring home, we've had 0 defaults in the 30 years that we've been doing. So we prepare our clients, our residents, to become homeowners. We provide them with homeowner education, to pre-homeowners, so we have an 8-hour class that we we develop for them. We have post-owner occupation classes, and after purchases, we continue helping them and reaching out to make sure they're comfortable and understand what it means to be a homeowner. Another aspect that I want to bring out about our organization is the importance that we bring to this community. The Citadel Village project that we will talk about, and the reason why we're here today, will provide 96 units in a 10-story building right up here in Little Haiti, at our current location on 82nd Street. We're gonna build a new building with affordable housing. The numbers are as follows. We will have 54, I should know this by heart. We should have, just wait. 1 second, it's on page.
Before one-bedroom apartments?
Yeah,
54, yeah.
54 one-bedroom apartments. 36 two-bedroom apartments, and 6 three-bedroom apartments. Now, the one-bedrooms will go for $638 a month in rent. I don't think you can rent that, a room, $638. The two-bedrooms will go for $765 per month. And the three-bedrooms will go for $885 per month. We will be renting to people making 30% of the area AMI. So extremely affordable and appropriate for this area. The building will have all the amenities, all the amenities, and in a location that will serve the community. The building will cost $47 million. We have gotten commitments by loans from the city, the county, that adds up to about $45 million of the cost of putting up the building. We have what we call in construction, whenever you're doing these development projects, we have a funding gap of about $2 million. So we're coming to the trust to ask for a loan to make that funding gap. And why are we asking for that? One, this is not a grant that we're asking the trust, but a loan. So you're gonna get a return on your money. Two, this project, in addition to all the affordable housing units that it's gonna deliver, we will create temporary jobs in the community during the construction phase. Three, this project is what we call the first stepping stone in terms of home ownership. Why? People, to save now to buy a house, if you're paying $2,000 in rent, to save, there's no way you can save to purchase a home. So the affordability of this project benefits the community. 96 families will benefit from this community, from this project in perpetuity. Obviously, as people roll off and new tenants, but this project will be affordable in perpetuity. And we have a track record of doing this at Little Haiti Housing. We have the Bell House project up in North Miami, 138th Street, which is 62 apartments. We have Village Jardin 2, which is a 6-unit apartment building on 78th Street. Like I said, we've helped folks become homeowners, more than 300 in the last 30 years. So if you do the average, that's 10 families per year that we've done home ownership with in the last 30 years. So we know what we're doing. We've done this before, we have the experience, and we're asking for the support of the trust to help with the funding gap. If you go further, we can show renderings of the project. If you go way back, you'll see what we're planning for the community. this beautiful building with all the amenities, safe, secure, and decent. Second page, please. And again, it's located on 82nd Street and 2nd Avenue, which is a neighborhood that's quasi-gentrified with all the businesses. Also, I want to point out, we will have about 4,000 square feet. I'm sorry, 4,000 or 1,400 square feet?
1,400.
1,400 square feet of commercial space dedicated to mom and pop businesses in the community. So the building, we'll have 3,000 space. HACDC will have 3,000 square foot of space. We'll have 1,400 square foot of commercial space, ground floor space for businesses with the priority given to local businesses in the community. Any questions from the board?
I'd like to clarify before we start with questions. So this item is listed under presentations. It's not a legislative item. There is a procedure for us to hear items for funding that are not made through the RFP process, non-solicited proposals. So this is an opportunity for the board to interact with the presentation and ask questions, but in order for it to be considered for funding, we would need to go through the proper procedure. So I wanted to make sure to clarify that.
Understood. What I would like to do is I'd like to open it up to the community first, and then the board, we can tailor it. Can we do that?
You would have to do, reopen public comment
Okay.
via vote prior to,
Cool.
taking
Alright.
any comments from
All
the
right,
board.
motion.
I make a motion to open up public comment only for this item to be discussed.
I'll second that.
All right, any opposed? All right. So open it for public comment, or questions on the project. We'll start right here in the front row and then work our ways to the back.
Yes.
If people can maybe come to the mic, if that's
Yeah,
easier, so that we can just
if
go
they're
through
comfortable,
there.
yeah.
We have these two extra ones.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Antonia Pascal. I'm a mental health counselor. My question to you is that just based on a little self-disclosure, or even for anyone else that may inquire, will there also be jobs available? Like, because there's a lot of evictions that's happening in a lot of homes. So how would you be able to help your tenants instead of evicting them, knowing that it's probably a low-income place and some of them may lose a job or some of them may not be able to afford it? Will you have those programs available where they can establish jobs or not be able to, not be evicted rather than to be like thrown out on the street or things like that? I have 3 questions. The second one, please, is that a lot of places, like when you go to the homes, like housing places, there's not people that can relate to a Creole speaking person or a Spanish speaking person. They only have probably like English, but you have a lot of tenants that are not able to speak the language, so they're misunderstood, or maybe just simply no one care for them. Or as well, same thing for a Spanish speaking person. And I don't know if you want to answer.
Go ahead, I'll answer.
Okay. What else? I forgot, but that's the only 2 concerns that I've had based on what people have gone through.
Thank you. So let me address the last part of the question. Like I said, we've been in this community for over 30 years, and in that 30 years, it's expanded. We really used to cater primarily to Haitian Americans, but as you can see, it's expanded. So in our offices, we have Creole, English, French, Spanish speaking personnel that will help with every aspect of the home ownership, and because it's our property, with the rentals of the property. As for evictions, again, our properties are very, we barely, again, we're a non-for-profit, so it's a tight budget the way we operate our business. The issue though, if somebody's, can't pay the rent, we work with them, we give them a chance, we go through the process with it, but at one point, If you can't pay your rent, even at these low rents, we have to let you go, only because there's hundreds of people waiting who can pay, single mothers, single families who can pay the rent, and if for some reason you can't, we have to give somebody else an opportunity.
I do remember my last question.
Go ahead.
My last question is regarding when someone does a rental in a property, what is the projected time? Because I know you said you also help them buy homes. So what is the projected time limit? Like some people just live from generation to generation in a unit. So are those people, what happened to them? Are you, like, let's say they don't want to leave or they don't want to, so what's the plan for those type of people?
Thank you. So to answer your question on that,
Question?
Just give one moment.
one moment,
We're
Pastor
gonna
Jeff.
do it in-
To answer that question, we have long-term tenants in our properties. We have long-term tenants, and if you're gonna become a tenant or renter every year or every other year, when your rate goes up, you're gonna pay the higher rent. So we also, like I said, offer first-time homeowner class. We have incentives. We have funding for Miami-Dade County for first-time home buyers. We have different tools to help you, but again, part of the effort, you have to be able economically to qualify. It's a qualification process. You have to be able to qualify, and when you qualify, we can support you, help you, even get you some funding for a down payment. So, we cover this.
Yeah. And then with the amount that's being, you said it may go higher every year or something.
Again,
so-
there's market rates, the HUD provides guidances and guidelines, so it will go up based on our
Well,
cost.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Just to make the process a little bit smoother, if you, we'll give you the 2-minute time for public comment, if you can ask your questions in between, and then after, the presenter will answer any of the questions that you made during your public comment time. That way, we make sure that everyone could go ahead and answer their questions, and it'll be smooth. So, just to make everyone aware of the process, and if you would like to, after, just please line up to come to the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, this is Sunny Jamati. He's one of our board members as well. So a community member, he understands our mission. Sunny, you have something to say?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everyone, Chair, board, everybody. Good evening, people in the community. This is a very, very unique opportunity for us to rebuild our community. And was fortunate enough to have a great board from the very beginning, the first members, that we created plans to rebuild our community. And this is the very first step that we can take chance, or we can take the lead ourselves and rebuild our community with you guys' help. So I hope you guys will take the chance and go through this paperwork and try to make a great decision for us within the community, as in the Haitian community. Please.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm Jacques St. Louis. As you may know, I wear 2 hats in the community. I'm working with the Haiti Housing Association, HACDC, and I'm also a minister in the community for more than 30 years. So I've been working with this agency for 31 years plus. And this is what we would like to promote, the homeownership. The question that you ask, how we're gonna help those people from rental to homeownership. As family rents from HSCDC or Little Haiti Housing, we have an ongoing tenant class from tenant to home ownership. We teach them to be ready financially, financial education, when it's come for their credit, to keep their credit in line. We help them with that when they come to our office. So, and that's why we've been having so many people in home, and as the board members say, with no foreclosures. So that education, we believe in that. Education in education. That's what we've been doing. So tenants from rental to homeownership. This is what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Jean.
My name is Kerry Johnson. I'm a property owner in the area and in a lot of other areas also. What I have is a question about the financing that's coming in on the property. I heard him say that he was getting money from the county and the city. What I want to know is that how much input does the county and the city have in who's going to be renting those properties and who's going to be in there? Because I've noticed that in the city of Miami, there's certain property that's being, you know, that's supposed to be a certain way, and certain people are supposed to be in there, but they're not in there. And it's been taken over by the city and the county, which it used to be the federal government that used to own it as, you know, low-income housing. Now it's not low-income housing, but they have it to where it's low rent, but they're picking and choosing who they want to pick and choose, and it's going through the county and the city. Not so much through the person who's running it or who owns it. Same thing with the jobs. When you go there, you can't find one person that speaks Creole or English or anything else. They're all speaking Spanish, because when you deal with a construction company, they make it to where you got to pull a bond or you got to have you know, a license or whatever to do the construction and all of that. And most people down here do not have those licenses, except the Hispanics, which they get the contracts and then they put their people to work on that project. So how will you know who's gonna be building that project to make sure that it's people that's the Haitians and other people that's gonna be involved to being part of making money and having jobs on that project?
So you put a couple of questions. Let me answer from the back. And I should have said this. We are partnering with an organization called Royal American Development out of Panama City, Florida. We went through an extensive due diligence process and RFP process to find a partner. Because again, $47 million to build a building, we didn't have that. So we needed a partner with a strong balance sheet that would guarantee the $47 million. You're in business, you understand. You need somebody to, you know, to say, okay, if something goes wrong, they're going to be liable for the $47 million. So it's a big nut. So in terms of the rental, and part of our agreement with Royal American, they will be hiring locally. There are certain things, and I'll say this up front, that as a construction company, like the foundation of the building, certain things that, you know, they have their crew to come and do it, they're doing. But everything else is up for bid. Everything. So from a work and construction, that's my, and I insisted on this, this is how it's going to work. Haitians, local community, African Americans, we're going to have a job fair, we're going to take applications for the trades, and you know, that's how we're going to do the recruitment, primarily in this area. In terms of the tenants that we rent to, it's some of it's a lottery, some of it is, again, priority, the communication. We're going to ask the trust to help us communicate in this market, advertise the coming up of the building, the process. We're going to be working with them. That's one of the things we're going to be asking, in addition to the money, to help us streamline this process and get the right tenants into the building. So it's not a city thing. We're a not-for-profit organization. We've been in business for 30 years, and we know how to do this. So the city can't bully us because, first of all, they don't have really a lot of money into this project. We're taking a loan to build the project. So it's not their problem.
Is that the $45 million you're talking about is going to be a loan, or is it federally funded?
It's broken down. If you look at the presentation, it's broken down into the state, the county, the city, and we have tax credits, federal tax credits. So it's not just one source of funding.
Right.
It's different sources of funding that will allow us to build the building.
Right, and I know that when you're dealing with different sources of funding, a lot of people, they're funding people that's also funding the project, have their say into that project and how they want to have it ran or who they want to have it done by and all of that. And that's where the conflict comes in at, because it's just like black and Hispanic and Haitians, it's all of that. A lot of people cannot be bonded through the construction because they may say, okay, we're gonna give you $1 million contract or $1 million to do this. If you can't be bonded for that $1 million, which is a problem with a lot of construction companies getting bonded for that amount of money. And that stops them from being able to come in there and do those jobs that's doing the construction of the project.
I understand that. That's where the subcontractors come into play. We're working with the general contractor as much as the non-bonding work can be distributed to the
Right.
tradesmen in the area. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I was just bringing this to attention because I've noticed that one thing is always said when somebody is a commissioner or whoever is the person that's in charge of things, they tell you one thing before the project gets started to get you interested in letting it happen. And then once it happens, it's a whole nother story that goes on behind that.
Not here. But
Okay.
thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hi, good evening, Leonie Hermenton. Full disclosure, a former board member of Little Haiti Housing, Little Haiti CDC.
A founder.
Former board member. And I just want to, sort of say that I've worked in this community for the past 30 years, and I have witnessed through, social service work, the transformational impact of Little Haiti Housing in providing folks who made $16,000 a year the opportunity to be homeowners. And I knew that because when we at Santla were preparing tax returns, we would have people come in with their, W-2, $16,000 and still qualify for the property taxes, etc. So we've seen the power of, how they have empowered really low-income families to become homeowners in Little Haiti. We've also seen how they've impacted young people. There was a technology lab where kids were graduating and getting really lucrative jobs. Again, children whose parents bought homes were becoming really successful professionals. So, I know that the project has not been submitted yet, but I also think that as one person who has been part of the effort to get a community benefit agreement, I know that this was the vision of this community benefit agreement, is to be a leveraging force, to leverage existing funding to be so impactful as to getting 96 families access to affordable rental housing. It's sad that it's not home ownership, but it's still a step towards home ownership. I do echo Mr. Johnson's concerns about, I do echo Mr. Johnson's concerns about, one, the selection of tenants. I know that it is an issue, and I know that you have time to provide more clarity about that, but we do want more clarity about how that lottery is going to be taken. And it's not, I'm not really talking about Hispanics. Hispanics have been part of this community for many years. It is about the regional, we have people from Homestead come up here. We have people from many different parts of the county come here. It's not necessarily people who live here already, whether they're Haitian, African American, or Hispanics, who have access to these slots, but sometimes folks who have no connection, no social network in this neighborhood. So I know, Joanne is giving me the signal. So I do support it, and I really hope that as you proceed with your application, we're gonna get more clarity about the jobs and about the selection process of tenants. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. And to answer your question, that is our goal. Again, the trust will help us promote it. We have a saying where I'm from, pied coup de prendre le vent. So if you get the information, the sooner you get the information, the faster you apply, the higher you up on the lottery list. So, because we can't discriminate against other Miami-Dade County residents, but there is processes to ensure that we get what we need to get. I'll leave it at that.
All right, if there are no more comments, at this time, we're gonna close, public comment once again. Is there anyone on the board that has any pressing questions, or you'd save your questions for later? All right, on behalf of the board, I would just say I will continue to look at the information, delve into it, and then send questions, as they come.
But Mr. Vice Chair and the board, thank you for this opportunity. Please, I'll give you my card. You can call. Our consultant is here, Doug Myers. He's a consultant on the project. We're open to any questions you may have, and we can always come back and represent at a later date.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
I would, if you would stick around for a little bit after, have
Sure.
a couple of initial questions, and I would like your contact information.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, moving on to legislative items. Approval of minutes from September the 10th at our regular board meeting.
I will move the date, Tubbs, please say it again.
September the 10th, September the
I will
10th.
move the minutes from the September 10th, 2024 meeting.
I'll go ahead and second that.
All right, any opposed?
No.
All right, so move. Moving on to item 3B, resolution 2024-012, small business grant amendment. Could you voice over that item for us?
Sure, so we're bringing back the guidelines for our small business grant. We received a request to make an exception to the policy for an additional amount for a facade program, and through our current policy, it goes up to 20,000. In order for the board to be able to review or consider doing an exception to the policy, it needed to be written in our small business grant guidelines that the board has the ability to make exceptions. So this first resolution only is adding one additional sentence to our small business grant guideline, which provides the board with the ability to make exceptions.
Thank you. I have a question / concern. I'm 100% okay with the exceptions, and especially that this money is getting out to businesses in the community. I have concerns with the exception process, and that some of these funds, so to speak, are becoming substantial. They will deliver substantial improvements, and all of that is okay. We have some good actors, some okay actors, some bad actors in the community, and I would like to make sure that the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust improvements, the dollars that are put into these businesses and properties that create now some significant improvements to the properties and the structures on them, are protected. So in all of this, this has come to my attention, especially with that we're kind of upping the amounts now, that there is no clause that say we do all of this and 1 year from now the property can be sold, for example. And there's nothing in there that says there needs to be a retention of 5 years or 7 years. Something of that nature. I'm okay with the exception, but I would like to add something. Our attorney will have to help us with that, and I'm sure that we'll have to discuss this a little bit more. But these are going to make the properties that are receiving these funds and doing the improvements worth a lot more money. So yes, I want the money to go out to the community and want to help and want things to be, beautified, but there has to be something where our investments are protected and we're not incentivizing a sale because now a property that was worth $400,000 is worth $1,400,000. So that's something that I think needs to be addressed.
So
And-
I just do want to clarify. One is that we are looking right now, this first resolution is in reference to the program guidelines. And basically, and I apologize, but if you look at page 5 or 6 of the program, the sentence that was added to this policy is the last sentence under disclaimers on page 5 or 6 for the business guideline manual, where it says the trust reserves the right to make exceptions to the grant program guidelines by a resolution approved by the majority of the board. So we're not looking specifically at the exception, that'll be the next resolution. However, to address the concerns that you stated, inside of our policy and inside of the grant agreement in which the small business owner signs, they do make a commitment for the business to be open for an additional 2 years, or they are liable to pay back those grant funds to the trust. However, it does not address, as you stated, the sale of the property. So that can be addressed as you look at on a case-by-case basis for the exceptions. But this first resolution is just adding that sentence that reserves the right of the board to grant exceptions by vote for a resolution by the majority of the board. So I just want to make sure I clarify.
Thank you, and I hear you, and I understand, and I'm, I get that we're just tweaking this right now.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, I know this will have to be discussed further, and, it'll have to be put on another agenda, for example. But this, I just want to make sure that I'm being clear, because we are, in our things that we're approving tonight, stepping outside of what we had originally, say, a $10,000, we're talking about different amounts and different properties now and different things, and funding from multiple sources. So this is getting into like really significant stuff, which is all fine and all needed, and we've needed it for a long time, but want to make sure that our funds aren't going to incentivize what's already going on with, people getting put out. And if it's a homeowner, and it's not a tenant or it's not a business, we don't have any protection. So if we could explore that and figure out how to get that back maybe for November, December, however long it takes, and make sure that there's some kind of clause in there for these dollars, I would feel a lot better approving these things, and just in case. We have great people that, need these funds, but there's not always great people, and what we do for one, we must do for all. So I just want to make sure that we're setting the precedent, and starting from, we made an exception for this one, so the next exception has to play by the same rules. So however that gets done, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I just want to make sure for understanding purposes, this is just a small business grant. It's not other grant vehicles that we have put in there. We're just talking about the small business
We're
grant.
only speaking about the small business grant.
And we're-
So
and
for
we're
example,
only-
for the the home rehab program,
Yes.
we're investing a significant amount of money.
Yes.
And that one does have a covenant because it is on the property in which for 10 years, the homeowner cannot sell the property. If they do sell the property, they have to repay back a portion of the funds. I think we approved a 10-year forgiveness per year up to 100%. So if after 5 years of receiving the grant funds, they want to sell the property, then they are responsible to pay back the trust 50% of the amount. However, with the small business grant, because you have tenants that are going to be applying, right, that do not own the property, so they are not able to commit that the property wouldn't be sold as a small business tenant. And then second, you do have some property owners, but the maximum allowed amount for a facade is $20,000. So my suggestion would be, once again, I'm gonna state that this first resolution is just to allow the board to make exceptions if you deem so necessary. And then the second item, I would state that with those exceptions, if there's additional restrictions that the board would like to place, then they can do that on a case-by-case basis based on the exception that they're granting.
Copy. So, yeah, so, and I just wanted, for clarity, the item that we are looking at right now is not for the other programs. It's specifically for the small business grants. That's the only item that that we're voting to make an exception for.
Yes,
And
and it's
that's-
the
and-
same
and-
policy
yes.
manual, except that one sentence that I
Yes.
read, that's the addition
Okay,
from the previous iteration that was approved by the board.
okay. I just wanted to be clear on what decisions that we were gonna be making.
The reason that I brought it up, so that I'm being clear where this came to my attention, is because this time it's for an actual property owner, a commercial property owner.
this particular one, I
This
got you.
particular one. So I hear what Ms. Millard is saying, but that gives me a little bit of pause when we would be making the decision when to put a reverter clause. I don't know what else to call it at this point. So what I'm asking for is across the board, we've stepped into this new territory. We typically deal with a renter, a tenant that is leasing from a commercial property owner. And yes, we have 2 years in place and they can't control anything, but this is an actual property owner applying. So we are out of our depths of the original thing a little bit. So I understand this is for one sentence, but going forward, we do need to address this because this is not $10,000 or, this is not just a facade grant. This is getting into significant improvements, again, which are all fine, but I just want to make sure we're protected is all that I'm getting at. Because this is a little bit of a twist on what we've been doing.
We have our attorney here, speaking of protection, so
Mhm.
I'll defer.
So the one question I want to ask to Board Member Safara. So is this something that you would like to see on every exception moving forward? This type of, okay.
I guess what I'm having heartache with is that if significant funds, we're talking about roofs, tile work, windows, doors, I mean, this is $100,000 in some cases, $150,000. Again, all fine, but these are significant investments made into the property that will add to its value.
Right.
So while we might have people that want to live here for all of their days and this is their home, there's not always those actors in the community. And so what's good for one should be good for all. So we don't get into, well, you did this for him, so you got to do it for me. I don't want to get into that,
Right.
we're the decision-making body. I would rather have it in the manual and that if in 5 years or in 10 years, just like the home ownership one, there's a reverter type clause. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, I apologize.
No,
But yeah, I just think
understand. I'm trying to
that,
get to that.
yeah, a little extra protection, because this is, an outlier now that we haven't really done. And for this specific thing, I understand what Ms. Joanne is saying, but I would just like to bring this up so that we can address it in the short term, maybe the next meeting or whatever.
Okay, I think I can think of a couple ways to, I'll
Okay.
probably give you a couple calls.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm good, we can vote on the
Okay.
thing, on the sentence change.
All right.
So let me see the language one.
That's right here on page.
Page 5.
It's the very last sentence. It's something I've changed.
Page 5, yes.
Yeah, but I wanted to see this. So I make a motion to change the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust Business Grant Program Manual.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any opposed? All right.
So just to clarify, you're approving the resolution as is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Or could you just, for the record, make sure we say, make it clean?
Is there something I need to add
No,
to
no,
it?
Yes.
so your motion is to approve the 3B resolution for the small business
There we go.
grant
That's what I was
amendment
trying-
as presented, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is that, was that vote, was
Yeah,
that vote?
I believe you did all in favor.
Okay, I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure it was clean for the record. All right, moving forward, vote taken.
So now that we have approved the ability to take, or for the board to look at exceptions, we have our first exception
Paralyzed problem.
for the small business grant, in which we have Mr. Jean Wallace doing business as National Group Realty, who is asking for an exception to the policy, which currently we provide up to $20,000. And Mr. Wallace is asking for $40,000 to be used in order to improve his parking lot, which would include drainage and paving. He currently has been a business owner for over 20 years. He's owned the property since 1985. He owns his business there and an additional 2 businesses at the property. He has applied and has received a commercial facade grant from the city of Miami that's being administered through the Liberty City Trust. He's receiving $150,000, which will cover hurricane impact windows, doors, signage, and awnings for the property, including painting of the property as well. He has received 3 quotes for the work that needs to be done in the amounts of $40,000, $52,000, and $90,000. So the request for this resolution is for the board to approve for the business owner to receive an additional $20,000 for a total commercial facade grant of $40,000 to do the work on the property.
I just want to speak to this item.
Oh, I was also gonna state that the property owner is here if you
Okay.
have any questions.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely like to ask just like one question. How you doing, Mr. Wallace? All right. I just had a question for you. You know, we are making an exception for this, and one of our concerns is that, you know, that you would promise to stay in the community, at least from my purview, that you would promise to stay in the community, and use these improvements to further your business and not to, you know, relocate. That would be my only concern. But based on your track record, I don't think that you will be a person that will use, you know, the resources to do that. I think you have shown that you are committed to providing business in the community, and that way you will use your improvements to enhance the community and the services that you provide. So that would be my only concern, that you wouldn't do the upgrades to then use it as leverage to leave or sell the property at a higher value. That's my only concern. So if you could speak to that.
The area is changed, so I want to be part of that change. I'm not going nowhere. The area is changing, so in order to compete with those people, so my building have to be fixed. I know that's the wedding, but I'm just looking for help. So I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. I have a couple questions as well. Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Alyssa, go ahead.
Okay, there was too much going on, so I wanted him to be able to hear me. So I would like to know, in your parking lot
Yes.
that you are trying to legalize and bring up to code, do you have lighting?
Do I have?
Lighting.
I have.
You do have lighting?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, that is very good. What color are you planning to paint the building?
It's already painted.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Some deep brown for the graffiti people.
You're making my heart very happy because it's easy to go out and cover it up. I understand what you're saying, yes. It's easy to paint over it in the morning. And then these questions are not for you. These questions are for our CEO. I would like to understand in this process, I went through some of what was submitted, and I would want to understand, is this process going to be monitored like how the home process is monitored, like the home rehabilitation processes where they have specific documents that the contractors submit and they monitor it and they go through like the permitting process with the city? And also I want to know, because the permit fees can get pretty steep for some of this stuff, and who is covering that? How is that going to be covered? Because that is not in the bids. For example, for his parking lot, what my core question is that they're not apples to apples. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, he's able to get the work done.
So based on the way our grant agreement is structured, there's two ways in order to receive payment. It is either through reimbursement, in which the work would have to be completed, and then the receipts and proof of payment, including closed permits, are submitted to us in order for us to issue that payment. The second way is that the payments can be made directly to the vendor or contractor through a draw process. And so we would ensure that the permits and the work are being done prior to the final check being issued. So those are the ways in which we monitor this process.
Okay, so the person, if he goes that route, is licensed and insured, can do business in the city, all the same as the community development process, basically?
Yes.
Okay, and then my last question is, just like Mr. Toussaint, I want to make sure that you're okay with what I have suggested. You are a good actor in the community. Drive by, you know, your business on the corner next to Checkers many days. So I want to make sure that you're okay with what I said of the clause of not selling for a specified amount of time. And you're staying there, and that if that's added into the contract and we decide that you're okay with that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
I'm good. All right, let me get back and read this right.
Are we ready to make a decision?
I'm gonna put my parliamentarian hat on real quick because this can get hairy. So, Board Member Zapata, I believe you just made an amendment, right, to the resolution? Okay. So when you make that amendment, you have to motion it, and then someone else has to second it, and then you can discuss and vote to accept the amendment, and then you would vote on the item as amended. So, just for purposes of the record and to make sure we're all voting on the same thing, you know, if you're gonna make the amendment, please make that motion and we'll proceed from there.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-013, the Small Business Program exception. And I would like to make an amendment to add a clause that if a property is sold, that there will be a payback or reverter clause, and that is to be determined on the years, whether that's 5 or 10 years or something in that nature, however it works out.
We may need a little more clarity than that. Just a smidge. You said 2 years?
No,
Or
I said 5 to 10 years, because she gave an example of 10 years. So I just don't have a lot of meat to work with. So if somebody wants to make a suggestion for the amount of years, we can make it 10 and have it where it breaks down to 0. I'm fine with that. I just don't know how to state that.
Could we say 5 years, or anything comparable to what maybe a city or a county may already have?
That's
in this-
10, and it ends up at 0 from the community development program.
Community development is 5 years with the commercial facade, Madam Board Member. If the property owner sells with the $150,000 that we've given him, if he sells within the first year, he has to repay it, the whole $150,000.
Grady, that's what I'm asking. It's over 10 years that it gets down to 0.
Could we use language that's already provided by the city or the county?
It's 5 years with the city of Miami. How's community development, Madam Board Member?
So what I would suggest, one, just to clarify, that you're amending this particular exception for this particular property, correct?
Yes, because this is the first one, so going forward, this one has to be included.
What do you mean by going forward? So when we're passing, that's where I think it gets a little sticky. The resolution that's before us today is specifically for this property. So that means that if you pass this, it does not impact other exceptions that are coming before us.
But he is the property owner of this, so if another one comes along like this, and we did something different for him, then we start this on the second one?
Or is it by case basis?
That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Right,
I
right.
want, because he's the first one, and I want everybody to be
Right.
treated 100%
100%,
equally.
yeah.
That's what I'm after. So that's why I just want to make an amendment, and everything is fine, happy to approve it.
Right.
Just want to make sure we don't treat anybody differently.
Correct.
Okay, so, and would you like to do it for a 5-year term?
That's where we're kind of stuck. So we're looking for guidance, and
What
this
is
is
the
already a
example?
precedent that's set by the city or the county.
When you were describing this to me a few moments ago, you gave an example of a 10-year down to zero. What is that for?
So that was the way that we did our program, which was different which is for the home rehab, and it's different from the city's program. So the way the city's program works is that if an individual sells their home anytime less than 10 years, they're responsible to pay back the full amount. On our home rehab program, we did a forgiveness of 10%, so that the longer that they're in the household, they repay a lesser amount. So that was different from the city's program. So we can pass similar to what community development has currently on the facade program, which honestly I can't quote you on what that is, or we could do something that's different and similar to our home rehab. So if you're looking at a maximum of 5 years, but we're forgiving 20% every year, that's something that you're able to do. But in addition to that, we are kind of changing our policy, because now you're asking for a covenant that would go on the property, which we would have to file, that's not a current process that the trust does with our small business grants. So we'll be changing the process in which we do our grant programs. For example, we process the small business grants from A to Z in-house. But due to the complexity of the home rehab, in which you're typically qualifying, doing a second mortgage, filing it with the clerk system, we are paying an administrative fee to the city to do that, because internally, the trust does not have the capacity to be able to do those programming. So if we're changing that for the small business, that's going to be an additional work that we're gonna have to work with the city to ensure to see how we do that on the properties. Because at this time, we don't have the capacity to do that in-house.
Probably have to revisit.
This is where I said this needs to be another meeting.
Yeah, can't table this.
We're gonna have to do this. I want him to have his money,
What-
so maybe we can do something like
Another
retroactively.
option I will just say is that due to the feedback of the board that would like to potentially consider adding this type of covenant, if we could potentially defer this item so that I can do some research to find out exactly what is done at the community development, and ensure that they also would be willing to take on the task of doing this procedure for the trust, since we're not able to do it ourselves, and then we can bring this item back to at the next meeting.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
May I?
Yeah, go
Thank you. That's exactly what I thought was gonna happen when I started off with, unfortunately, because nothing's ever easy. But my concern is that I want Mr. Wallace to have his money. So can we have something where this can be retroactive for him, and he can still move forward with his projects? How do we make, I don't want, because this could take 1 month, it could take 6 months, who knows? I don't want to deter him.
So he's moving forward with the projects that are being funded through the Liberty City Trust on the facade programs. Our dollars is only for the parking lot, the drainage, the paving, and what is going on in the parking lot.
Okay.
But if we don't approve this today, we're not gonna be able to move forward with his grant agreement until this is approved, because this is an exception to the policy. We approve the small business grants internally based on the resolution that provided me with the ability to execute. But I can only execute to the maximum dollar amount.
Okay. I have a question. Mr. Wallace, you're currently working with the money that the Liberty City Trust is providing you now. And you have things to do, and you're currently working on your scope that you set out with them.
Yes.
Okay. I feel that that buys us a little bit of time. And, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but this situation, he is wonderful, and he'll be with us for a long time, hopefully.
I agree.
But I want to make sure we're covered. So if you guys are okay, I'd like to defer this so we can figure out a reverter clause, whatever their covenant, whatever it is called. I don't know the right wording.
I agree, Chair.
Madam Board Member?
No. Wait a second. Public comment is closed.
No problem, ma'am.
So we have to, if I let you speak, I gotta let everybody else speak. So if we want to open it, we can, but, you know, you're setting me up for failure, Grady. Thank you. I appreciate it.
If the board would prefer to defer this item and for us to bring back, you could just, I guess, make a motion to defer and approve it, and then I will come back with that information.
Okay, thank you very much, and so I make a motion to defer resolution 2024-013 small business program exception to discuss a repayment clause, in the near future.
And I'll go ahead and second that as well.
All right, any opposed? No one opposes? All right, so move. Moving on to the next item, CEO report.
We have one more resolution,
Oh.
which is 3D.
Oh, I
which is
apologize,
a
I didn't
whole-
see that.
Oh.
3D, home rehab exception.
Yes. So this is an exception for our home rehab program. This application is for an elderly couple who own a property here within Low Haiti. Through our home rehab program, we had asked that an applicant first apply to the city's program, be denied, and then have the ability to come to the trust for funding. So this particular couple applied to the city's home rehab. They were approved through the program, and they've received about $100,000 to do roof work, plumbing, electrical work, foundation repairs, wall replacement, water damage, and mold. The city's community development department is requesting that in addition to the $100,000 that they're receiving, which is the maximum through the city's program, that this applicant be allowed to receive $62,000 through our home rehab grant, which is a second exception because our maximum grant amount is $50,000. But with these additional funds, they would be able to receive a new AC unit, exterminate termites, electrical work, window replacement, and exterior door replacements. This couple actually meets the 50% AMI income requirement, and so that's how they were able to qualify for the city's program. So the request is the recommendation to approve an exception to our home rehab program by one, allowing an applicant who qualifies for the city's program to still receive funding from the trust. Two, to increase the dollar amount from $50,000 to $62,000 to bring the home whole.
That's a tough one.
I have the same question. I just want to make sure that our interest is protected. If I can ask that, I'm good.
Now go ahead.
Thank you. I basically have the same question.
Okay.
Since this is for home rehabilitation, it falls into the 10-year situation. So we are covered, and it works with what you explained. So I'm okay with this, especially that it will keep a legacy resident that has been here and that is a homeowner here, and that is something that's very important to me.
Yeah, speaking to it, as long as it's covered under our current programs.
Actually, because they're doing the city's program, we're gonna have even more protections because their protections are stronger than ours. And they're
Yeah.
getting the 100,000
And
through the
the
city.
precedent's already been set by the city in the guidelines, so we're just extending the funding, but everything else is more or less the same.
That's my understanding.
Yes, we'll be actually having the city's, requirements, which are
Yes.
more stringent than ours.
But we're just,
We added flexibility such as debt to income ratio, the income requirement, and also the value of the dollar. So our program, the value of the property, so our program is more lenient. But because they're receiving the monies through the city, they're gonna have those stringent, requirements that are attached to those dollars.
and they've already been approved through that.
They have already
Okay.
been approved and it is working through the progress.
Okay. That's my only concern.
Okay? Okay. I'll try again here. I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 2024-014, home rehab exception.
I'll second that.
Okay, any opposed?
No.
So moved. Moving on to the CO report.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Okay.
For
That's my day
administrative
job.
updates,
It's your day job?
the trust budget was approved, at commission with the rest of the city's budget. At the last meeting, the board had instructed me to write a letter to the HEP board in regards to the Dupree building based on the presentation that was provided at Magic City. A letter was drafted and provided to the board, and it was then forwarded to the HEP board, to the staff at the city, the Historic Preservation Board. The item of the Dupree building was moved to the next building or to the next meeting, which is deferred, so it has not been heard as of yet, but the comments of the board are included in that letter. There's an additional administrative updates that the board is able to read through. I'm gonna move on to our programming updates. We have the home rehabilitation. We've received 2 applications so far. The first has been brought to you as an exception. There will be a second application that will be coming to the board as well for an exception based on the size of the property. That's the update for home rehab. For small business grants, you have your chart in front of you with the list of the small businesses and a status update as to where each application stands, including the ones that were distributed tonight. The next program update is in regards to funding requests. We haven't received any additional ones as of yet, so that's the same as the list that was provided to you last month. Pierre Toussaint Leadership and Learning Center provided a quarterly update as per their grant agreement, in which the trust provided the $200,000 over the 2 years. Every quarter, they are required to provide us with an update. A copy of that update is included in the CEO report with these numbers. At the end of the first year, we will have them come back with an actual presentation to review all the information that was provided in the quarterly report. The next item is your financial report, which shows expenses through the fiscal year ending September 30th of 2024. And that concludes my CEO report.
Any questions from the board on the CO report?
if you just briefly outline the trade school options, so, because I want this gentleman to hear that since he did bring it up, just if you could give a really brief overview of that. We're working on finding options to get people certified and to get them to be able to work, and that's something we've been discussing for about 3 months now.
That's the next
So
item.
it is
Wait.
listed under
Yeah.
discussion items.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
we're
the
not
next
there
item.
yet.
yeah, yeah.
Nope,
That's the next
sorry.
So it's
Okay,
there,
perfect.
but we have 3 items under discussion
Okay.
items that I'm just gonna provide updates on.
I didn't even realize it
Yeah,
was,
that's-
yeah, part of it.
So if you
Yeah,
want to
there's no
move on,
question,
if
yeah.
there's no other questions in regards to
No.
the CEO report. So the first item was the Haitian Creole
Haitian
classes.
Creole classes.
So at one of the previous meetings, there was a discussion in regards to whether or not there was a need for Haitian Creole classes. And so what we did was we provided some information that we did a search of within the area, where are there classes that are available. And so that first chart after the CEO report shows you of the 3 areas that we were able to locate: Miami Edison Senior High School, Aventura Library, and Miami-Dade College North. So we included the contact information and the pricing if that was applicable. And so as requested by the board, I'm returning with that information that you requested.
It's cheaper out of return.
Thank you, yeah. Just to give context for this item, it was something that was brought up by myself and just other people from the community, that make sure that the Creole language stays alive in Little Haiti. Unfortunately, there's really not a lot of options for people who want to learn Haitian Creole, whether they are from the diaspora or not. So we were just looking for ways to make sure people can still learn and speak the language in Little Haiti. If you all know anybody that might have a passion or be willing to provide that resource, we're open to it as well. But this is what our executive team was able to bring back to us for those who are interested in learning and become more fluent in Creole.
Trade school, all trades.
My next discussion item is on trade school options. We had a presentation by Magic City that spoke about the career options and the different jobs that the different phases will bring. I'm not sure if we need to open it up, but we do have someone here that would like to speak with expertise on some of the different certifications and trainings that would need to happen. Are we able to allow that gentleman to speak?
Yeah, but public.
I'm looking at him.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you can, I think you can invite just him up since he's gonna speak specifically on this item.
Yes, but it wouldn't be public comment, just him
Yeah,
speaking.
as like an expert, right?
Okay, all right,
So can I speak first?
sure.
So, 'cause I'm not aware of what he's gonna speak of, but I just wanted to go over what I provided.
Sure.
So, as you stated, based on the presumed jobs that are coming from the Magic City project, I believe it was 2 or 3 meetings ago that there was a list of these jobs and the certifications that would be required. At that time, the board had requested that we do research to see in which ways can individuals be trained in the meantime, so when these jobs came online, that they would have the certification and possibly the experience that would be required for these jobs. So as a result, what we did was we created this chart that shows, based on the jobs that are coming on board, the different type of courses and certifications that are being offered, where they're being offered. We have Miami-Dade College North, we have Lindsay Hopkins, I believe we have one more. And then we also listed the pricing that's involved as well. In addition to, as we are going through this project, we do know that Magic City would be required to hire a monitoring company within 60 days of signing the permit to ensure that they're meeting their specific requirements. We've also been working directly with the Department of Human Services, who has been working with us to assist us in identifying residents within the target areas who may possess these relevant skills. helping us to arrange potential on-site certifications for some of the certifications prior to the start of construction, and helping to identify training providers for additional on-site locations in Little Haiti as well. So we looked at the trade schools that provide these programs, the cost associated with these programs, and we're looking for different avenues to see how we could potentially offer some of these trainings here in Little Haiti as well.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I believe we have someone from the city that would like to come up and speak.
I have a question.
Yes.
We sitting out here and we listening to what you're saying. Why is it that we can't talk about what you're saying? Because I have a lot of different ideas and things that I deal with in the community all the time. And it's just like what you're talking about, the job stuff, right? The training is not always the problem, okay?
Can I pause you for a second? We do have a process. There are folks who, so we've been doing these meetings for about 3 years, and there is a culture
Well,
of
I'm
folks.
in the Liberty City Trust also.
I understand. I said a culture. That means.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, I deal with a lot of stuff all over the
I
whole
understand.
county.
I understand, but I just want to say if I can get your information afterwards, and we can put you on the agenda for next meeting. If you are the expert that we need, right? We can just put you on as someone that can come in and speak to points that you have. That's all I'm saying.
No, I understand,
Yes.
because I belong on boards myself,
I
okay?
understand.
So I understand how the board operates and how much time you have to listen to everything that goes on and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's not a problem. I'm just saying is that some of the things that you're talking about,
Mhm.
there's more
I
to
gotta-
it
We
than
understand.
just what you're talking about.
We understand. Thank you.
Cut us off here, because now we're getting into opening public comment territory, and I think you know how,
Our
how
process,
that goes.
what
so.
he, what he's
Well, you
mentioning,
already know, so.
what he's mentioning is that we have public comment in the beginning. So our agendas are posted, we also have, you can get the agenda, and we give you the opportunity in the very beginning. But I know you for a long time, going back to Hadley Park and going to the meetings and all of that. So yes, I'm aware of you too. And if you wanna come and speak, we'll give you, where you can come
I just
ask your
wanna
questions,
help out
present
with
your
the
information,
insight of what
and please,
it
we
takes
welcome
to
it.
get things
I'll
done.
I'll get
we're
you
by no means,
information,
yeah.
and we'll put you on the agenda next time through our processes. All right? But I want to respect everyone else's time as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Sellers from the Department of Human Services. We have spoken, had the pleasure of speaking with Ms. Joanne about a week ago, I believe. And she did share, I am the employer consultant supervisor with the City of Miami with the Opportunity Center. So I oversee the training and employment program for the City of Miami in my respective field. And I'm here with my colleague, Ms. Eatman, as well. So just speaking on, or just to provide a little insight on some of these, and I did have a few questions in regards to the timeline, because this is like right around the corner, right? Because the first timeline here is March 25. That's 6 months. So to get someone trained in an area of expertise that's called for 5 years or more experience is kind of, is unprecedented, right? So you're gonna have to reverse engineer this, or approach this as a reverse engineering aspect, and put a call out to the community for the individuals who already have those skill sets in those residing zip codes that's identified here, first and foremost. Then, this should have been underway 3 years ago, 5 years ago, as far as training the community for these jobs that's coming up, right? And the stakeholders. So we're already behind the 8 ball, couple years already. So moving forward with the approach and how we should go about that, we can discuss it a little further in another meeting. I know time is of the essence now. But as far as the timelines is concerned, you have March 25, March 25, March 25. We're talking about 5 years or more experience and 1 or 2 years a helper. I know we can fill the helper positions because that's what we do every day, all day. And if we can't find those in those communities, something else is wrong between the stakeholders, the individuals that do have some type of stake, contractors, everyone who's pretty much have involvement in this project. Don't want to be left out on the technicality, and that's what I see happening in the language as well. You have to be very careful with the language in the contract. This SAP was written in 2019. We here in 2024, going to 25, and I don't know if it's been one recruitment effort. One recruitment effort in reference to getting people on board. I already have them in the pipeline. I'm not sure, so maybe that's some more information that we need to sit down, because it's a lot of uncertainties, of a lot of things that's unclear, and the community is behind on this project right now. So I'm here to help you guys, guide you guys, provide expertise, training. We work with training providers. We work with different apprenticeship programs, and just want to have that conversation and have the time to introduce myself to you guys and see how the city can assist us as much as possible.
I have questions. So thank you so much. It's perfect timing that you're here, and just great. We've unfortunately had a hard time getting on our feet. We went through a lot of trials, a lot of experiments. We had a rough time. So even though we've been in existence for a little while, you know, we finally are up and running. We have a wonderful CEO now. So, you know, we may be a little bit behind the 8 ball, but it's my understanding that the SAP process, the community benefits, all of that, the Magic City development overall is a long-term SAP. We're talking like 10, 15 years out. So even though some of those jobs we may need to train people for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, I want to ensure that no one that wants to work in this community is unemployed. I mean, to have a project like that coming in, I want to make sure whatever, you know, resources that the city has, that we make the best use of them. Not people holding hoses and playing with water and, you know, pushing a broom and all of that. Good jobs, you know, and maybe somebody can be trained for a specific thing in 6 months, but they can continue their training to step up to, you know, a more skilled position as it goes on. So whatever can be offered to us, if you can please attend our meetings and, you know, keep in touch with our CEO. This is something that's important to me because there's a lot of construction, like the young lady that spoke in the very beginning mentioned, they're not the only development. There's 7,500 apartments planned up and down 71st Street. There's another SAP on the works, and there's all sorts of smaller satellite developments that people would not be unemployed, and they would have good jobs that they can provide for their family. So I really want to make whatever you can bring us, information, resources, make the best use of them. So if you can please keep in touch with us and attend our meetings, it would be greatly appreciated.
Whatever the city, whatever you need, any type of resources and within our capacity.
Of course. But yes, this is like right on time though. I mean, we've really tried to put this together, and our CEO has been working on this for a little bit now, and you know, this is, you know, they're having their own trials with getting permits and things, so there's a lot of things at play here, but we're all finally rolling, and it's time to start employing people, so whatever we can do.
I think it's definitely an opportunity here to, you know, kind of put patches on things right now and kind of clear them once the dust settles down and, you know, get to where we need to be in this process.
Thank you.
And for those who may not know, he's talking about the Magic City development. They're gonna start breaking ground and going through the different phases, and we wanna make sure that it doesn't just say on paper that the jobs and opportunities are here, but we need a mechanism to like actually make it happen. And so that's what he's specifically speaking to, some of those timelines. So thank you for coming, and like the process, you know, if you want to become a regular person that comes and checks in and gives us updates, just go through our process, go through our CEO, and we'll see how we can get you on the agenda to give needed information that we might need to make sure that, you know, the community doesn't lose out.
It'll be my pleasure.
All right, thank you.
The final item under discussion items was holiday beautification. I was asked to look into whether or not we can do some beautification efforts, for the holidays in Little Haiti. I did have a meeting with, Public Works, which stated that it could be possible to do some non-lighting, ornament decor along Northeast Second Avenue, similar to what's being planned for Biscayne Boulevard. So, within the next few weeks, I should have an update to confirm whether or not that would be able to, take place in Little Haiti.
Thank you. All right, I believe that's all our items for this meeting. We are free to adjourn. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you both for indulging me. All my paranoia. Indulging me. My craziness and paranoia.
No. You're fine. We're used to you by now.
We got a good team thing going
Turn the
on.
mic off.
We got a good team thing going on.
Oh, Lord. I looked at your notes. I said, oh, Lord.
But no, but
I
if
saw
I don't write
7.
them
I'm like,
down,
oh man.
but if I don't write things down in an hour, I'm gonna forget
You're
them.
gonna forget. I get it.
So sometimes I need to write them because when they come for the real presentation, or I can email him my question, but when he's talking, if I don't write down like an attorney or, like, it's gone.